get knocked down. I get knocked down.
All right. You can't go down.
What does it have to do with digital products?
I swear to God, people wonder if we have a theme. Do we think about it? Do we not?
We do. We do think about it. Sorry, guys. We do think about it. Anyways, first of all, morning. It's Monday.
It is Monday. It is Monday. I'm feeling like I'm having, I don't know whether it's tech challenges, whether things are just coming on the screen. It's a kind of a bizarre Monday. And it's funny because I was listening back to one of the shows that we did in July, because of course I'm getting our podcast ready.
Yes. Yay.
Spoiler alert. The podcast is coming.
Yeah.
And it was the one where it was a manic Monday. And I feel like because I heard that, it's now a manic Monday. It's like I don't know, manifested it or something.
Yeah. Well, today is a weird day for those of you who are in the Toronto area. It's cold and kind of nasty. Some places it's raining. It's just a miserable day. It's one of those days that you wish you didn't have to work and you could watch Netflix.
That's kind of how I feel. I feel like I want to wrap myself up in a very warm blanket and sit on the couch.
Yeah, but we don't have time for that.
No, the show must go on.
That's right. So the reason we picked it, I get knocked down. You got to get up again. It's actually called Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba, I think it is, the song. In case you want to look it up. Is because for a lot of us, we want to do digital products, right? So digital products are everything from, courses to books to videos. And we do it. We do one, right? We do one and we're all excited. And it's taken us forever to do it. And we get it up there and it doesn't sell, right? And then everyone quits. And it is no different than anything else in the business world. You get knocked down, you got to get up again. Yeah. So the truth is you take that first product or whatever you're trying to sell as a learning experience, right? And you've learned to master how to figure out what to put together, how to deliver, but you probably didn't spend very much time on figuring out if somebody actually wanted it. Right.
But on the other hand, once it's created, you can sit on the couch and watch Netflix and reap the benefits.
You can, if you've done it well.
If you've done it well, if it sells, and if you've got all the back ends on it. There's a lot of work, and I think that there is a lot of work after it's created.
Yes.
But it's possible.
It's possible. So the question is really, first of all, before you start a product is, does somebody want it? Like, does somebody need it? And here's a really simple way to do it. Just ask people. Ask your list. What do they want? Ask your friends. Would you buy this? And you'll get a very good idea of whether somebody wants to actually buy your product. So say you have an idea, because that's the start. Your idea, you have to come up with an idea first, or you have nothing. So you come up with an idea, you test it out with a survey or asking your friends informally, and they say, yes, this is a great idea. I really would like that, and I would purchase it. So that's the start, right? That's the start of it. So now you have to make a decision on where you want it. What kind of digital product do you want to create? Do you want to create a podcast as a digital product, right?
It is. Yeah.
An ebook on Amazon is a digital product. An online course is a digital product. A video, a masterclass. So you have to now think about what you want to do and what is the low-hanging fruit for you, because you don't want this to be a year-long creation. You want to be able to get something out, knock it out, and make sure that you have the ability to make some money, because I know a lot of you are like, I just want to spread my wisdom. I just want to share my expertise. I want to help people. Well, we all want to do all that. I want to help people. But the truth is you need to make money or you can't help people.
Well, there's that.
Yeah. So I guess, number one is, what do you want to do? Number two is, okay, you figure out your medium. And how do you figure it out? Because some of you are saying, well, I don't know. What am I going to do? Well, how should I do it? So you need to understand your strengths and weaknesses and what you're good at. So if you are not afraid of camera and you're great on camera and you're no problem speaking, maybe it's a video masterclass, right? If you're a phenomenal writer, then an ebook, sell it on Amazon. You can use CreateSpace. Doesn't cost you anything. You can do it all by yourself. You can use Canva for graphics. There's so much you can do. Not a problem. Do it that way. If you're better at audio, you can do audio downloads. You can do podcasts, whatever you want. But the number one thing you need to do is understand that you want to, number one, create a product, and number two, you want to monetize it. So you want to make some money. So even on a podcast, you can make money. So what is it that you want to do first? So Stacy, what was your first product? Give us your experience of doing your first digital product.
Well, I think my first one I did as a sort of opt-in. I did it as sort of a free, I just wanted to kind of understand the platform and everything. And so I created it. And then I think after that, I just did sort of a single masterclass. Right. And that one did well. But I will admit, I have created products that have done well.
Yeah.
And I have created products that have not.
Right. And
for the most part, but I did an ebook. And sold that. That was a LinkedIn challenge. So what is, I took the challenge and turned it into an ebook. So I had a lot of digital products. Like I said, some have been successful and some of them have not.
Right.
And that came down to, I think, and that's what I sort of alluded to and joked about, was the fact that once it was created, it's not a situation where if you build it, they will come. It doesn't work like that. It's almost like you have to actually put effort into it and actually tell people it exists, because after I had spent all the time creating it, I went, all right, so I'll move on to the next one.
Right. And people, I know a lot of people who, make a product and put it out once to their list and then are bummed because like, oh, nobody bought it. But, it doesn't work that way. You have to remind people 5, 6, 12 times before they actually remember it. You have to do Facebook ads. You have to do posts. You have to talk about it all the time. The thing is, if you've created a product that's your signature product, if you created your signature product, your signature message, your signature talk, whatever you're talking about, is you can sell that same one thing for years if you get it right. Right. You can sell it.
Sorry, it's not that I'm ignoring you. There's some technical issues that are going around in the Facebook world. So I'm seeing some comments coming through. I'm just posting in Facebook. We're not sure why, so we're just going to continue. And unfortunately, the people who are here live won't be able to enjoy it because they're having to keep refreshing it.
Right.
I'm not sure why, but hopefully the replay will work. So
must be Facebook.
Yeah, and this is the problem. So this is my biggest recommendation when you're doing a digital product, if you're recording anything, to do it offline.
Yes, because you're recording properly on StreamYard, but Facebook isn't necessarily giving you all of it, right? People that
exactly.
Are Facebook. So when we download this video, you'll be able to see it. So we just talked about it the other day about how we were a little uncomfortable with some of the Facebook lives because of this exact reason, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
So you created a digital product, you hope to sell it, and then all of a sudden you just, nobody buys it in the first 2 days, and then you go, oh, it didn't work, I'll move on. That's the biggest mistake anyone can make, because generally the problem is not the product, the problem is how you marketed it. Right? Or if you did market it. So you need to now regroup and say, well, nobody bought it. Why? And then send your sales page and your email out to people that you know that will critique it and tell you exactly what's wrong, right? Because you are so involved in it that you don't even notice that it's not clear, or people aren't sure what they're getting, because it's, you think you're being great. Oh, look what you get. But when I read it, I'm like, what does that mean? How is that going to help me?
I think that's probably the biggest mistake I made in the beginning, was I created this big thing. I created this sort of bigger product and multiple modules and multiple courses and all of that kind of stuff. But my positioning of it, even though the content was good, the positioning of it was not. So then I think what I did is I allowed someone to come in sort of as a beta. So I granted them an offer and I said, can you just go through this? What am I missing? So I allowed someone to go through it as testers. And they went, well, what you were saying, what it was about is not actually, so my marketing positioning was off. So
Right.
sometimes that can happen. So I think there's a lot of moving pieces when it comes to digital products, but the main
Right.
part is that there's a product and then you have to sell it.
Yeah.
And that's
And
really, and that's really the same as for anything, whether you're selling a t-shirt,
Yeah.
whether you're selling whatever, you still have to position it in a way so people to understand.
Yeah, and I think people don't realize that a digital product you sell exactly, as you said, like a product. So it's features, advantage, benefits, right? It's that old sales pitch that you've always used. So features, advantage, benefits. So what is it that you're actually selling? The problem with most people is what they do is they put features, right? They put the features on their sales page or on their email, like say, oh, you get 8 modules. Oh, you get 24-hour access. That's great. Those are features, but what's the benefit of 24-hour access, right? What's the benefit of your program? How is the program fixing somebody's problem, fulfilling solutions? How is that program doing that? That's what has to be on the headline. But most people make the mistake of, again, saying, here's the name of the product, right? And this is what you get, which is not what people want. They want old school, just like you watch the infomercials. Why do you want to buy that vegetable chopper at 12 midnight?
Because it looks amazing. I hate chopping, and wow, it looks awesome.
Because all they talk about is how it's going to solve your problem, right? It solves
Save
your
you
problem.
time.
Time, mess. Look how it's easy. It's simple. Boom, boom, boom. Last minute. So you're watching and going, oh my God, they're right. I need that chopper, right?
Yeah,
or
exactly.
I need that vacuum sealer for my vegetables, right? So you'll buy, or that night creams, right? Or the face creams, like the women look like it changes, reduces your wrinkles, does all this, but they show you benefits. So you want it. And so that's what you want to do for your digital product. Even when you're reading reviews on books, what's the back cover tell you? Why you should read that book, right? The reviews are all why you should read it. So when you go
you know what? Just to interrupt you for a second, I find it really interesting. I'm just going to compare it to a book for a second. Is that nowhere on the back cover of that book telling you why you should read it does it say you always have a copy of this book?
Right.
It never says how many chapters the book is. Because especially if it's in digital format, you don't really look at that. You don't hear that stuff. But for some reason, as soon as we go into a digital product, we want to outline all of these extra things that really have no meaning.
No. And you want to, and the thing is, I think most people, and I've made this mistake too. You don't want to overwhelm. So, you don't want to tell them there's 50 modules or there's 50 master classes or anything unless it's a membership, because the truth is most people are going to look at it, go, well, that's way too much information. I'll never get through it. So I would rather go find a simple, easy product, even though this one's probably has way more in it. I don't have the time. So you want to kind of streamline it. You want to get to, exactly your niche target market, what you're selling, what you have, what your solution is. Make sure you tell them, this is what it can do for you. This is the problem that you have, and this is what it will solve. And when you do that, you can target that niche market effectively in all your Facebook ads and your posts. And you have to constantly tell people that you have it and they can
I think
it.
Exactly. I think that's the biggest. I think that's the biggest piece that people forget is, again, it's not a case of if you build it, they will come.
No,
because you can have the best product out there, but again, if they don't see it as a solution or they're overwhelmed by how much information's in there and they think they'll never get through it.
Yeah. And your first flight, if you're doing an online course or a product or even a book, your first real flight of it is essentially a beta, right? So the people that are coming in are founders. They're your first movers, right? They're the first people that see it. And so a lot of people will say, they'll put out a course and there'll only be 5 people in it. And I tell them that's great, because that's not really your official launch. Your official launch needs to come a couple months later when you understand what you need to change and target. If this is your first time and you only have 5-10 people, just say that's awesome. To get 5 or 10 people on your first time to promote anything and sell anything is amazing. But most people will say, well, it's not enough people. This isn't good. I'm going to quit. and they're sitting with this. I remember this product. So this was back in 100 years ago when I started. There was a guy who wrote, and back then people didn't do video modules. It was all downloadables, right?
Right.
Downloadables and audio files. And he wrote this phenomenal program on how to launch online. And that was when I didn't know anything. And I didn't really know him. And I didn't know him when he launched it. Okay. I didn't know when we launched it. And then what I saw was somehow I got on his list or something. And then he said, you know, he's just going to give all his stuff away for free because it didn't sell. And he just didn't want to do online anymore. And he literally had all his downloads for free. Didn't ask for any money, nothing. So I downloaded it and I read them all, and they were really good, really, really good information. And what I realized after I read them was, had he actually been able to tell people exactly what was in it and the benefit, he would have sold a lot.
Right.
Like, he gave up after the first shot.
Well, and if you can get people, again, even just 5 or 10 into a beta, then they can give you feedback. That's the whole point of a beta. That's the whole point of, you know, that initial launch. They can give you feedback. They can give you some information around everything, the layout, all of that, so that when you launch it, plus you get testimonials you can use going forward. So I would say, you know, 10 for a beta launch is a great number. Anything over one.
And just so you guys know, when you guys are offered a beta or a founder, whatever you call it, just like, you know, we offered OnPoint members, founders, that's the best thing you can do, because everything's not ready, or you might get more down the road, but you'll never get that price again. And so for you to be a beta or a founder, and Stacy and I do a lot of these, we jump into a lot of different things because it's so ridiculously cheap, right? So when we launch, we do the same thing. Our first pricing is always founder pricing, so that you get people in that know that they'll be there forever and they'll get great information and great knowledge, and you've solved their problems because they're willing to take a leap of faith because they know you have good information. Right. How do they know you have good information?
How do they know?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, social media.
Right.
They see you. They can look at your blogs. They can look at the lives that you do. They can look at other trainings that you've done. I mean, there's so many different ways to put yourself out there so that people know that you have good information. And then they go, wow, okay, you're doing this.
Right.
I want to really, you know, if that's what they're giving, you know, with free or webinars or anything like that, what are you going to get when you dive deep?
Can you imagine what their program's going to be like if all this information is free? I mean, you guys, look, we've been live 3 times a week, 4 times a week, sometimes every week for the last couple of months, right? Or longer.
I think it was back. I was actually looking back. Funny you should say that. I was looking back at that this morning. I think we've been doing this since, I want to say June.
Yeah.
If not, then it was May.
Yeah. So, and you guys know it's all been free and we've given you all the information. So I'll just ask the question, when we launch a product, which we have obviously both have products, but when we launch a new product, would you immediately think that it's going to be good? Like, would you think that the value will probably be there because you've already seen us in action? And that's,
I'd like to think. I think, yeah.
All right.
I'd like to think. Sorry.
So we've been, you know, Stacy and I are actively working on a product that you guys we allude to as we're working. You'll see the little thing in the corner that says GIA. That's our program. It's called Global Impact Accelerator.
Sorry. I always do this because I figure out because it's mirrored.
And we've been working on this program because this is how I want you to understand how we came up with a program. So as we started doing these lives and we were working on OnPoint and working on a few other things, we've worked together on a lot of different things, right? Both of us, we do video stuff together. We do speaking stuff together. You name it, we probably do together. What's the thing that keeps us, what's the one common denominator, all that, is that everything that we do in our training we do is to set people up to have impact, to do it. And we want to have them have impact quickly. easily, and we want them to be ready to do a global impact, to be able to speak on any stage, any video, any podcast around the world. So what we wanted to do is come up with a program that would do it quickly and efficiently in the right order, in the right roadmap, in one spot, so that you would go from start to finish and boom, you are ready to do everything you need to do to make that impact. So that's what we've been working. You know, you guys have seen that we both have the ability to do that, right? We have the ability to use those courses that have already been successful, but now put them in one hub where somebody goes, if I do all of these things, boom, in 6 weeks, I'm ready to go. I've got all my stuff in gear. So that's the idea. We've worked on it all the way along in the last 6 months or so. We've been working on it, and we're ready to launch November 1. The question now is, what do we do? How do we launch? So we have to have pieces in place, right?
Yeah.
We've got the program. So if you're working on a program, you've got a program. It's not ready. Our program's done, but our work's just starting.
Right. And I think that's, and it's not a case of, again, if you build it, they will come. There's a lot of work after the fact to get people in, but there's also the maintenance and stuff like that too, that I think in the community that needs to be nurtured. And I think, unfortunately, I've been through a lot of digital products and online courses, et cetera, where, you know, you kind of click that buy button, no matter what the price level is. I've bought really high priced items. I've bought really low priced items and everything in between. And you feel like, okay, thanks. And it's great information, but I still never felt that sense of, well, like, now what? Or what if I have a question? And it just, there was nothing else there. So that's a real disappointment as well, where they feel like, again, they've built the product.
Yeah.
They've sold it to you. They have their credit card, and now they don't care about you.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem as well.
Yeah.
There.
And that was one of the pieces that we wanted to create, make sure that not only could you take the course and implement, because that's our key, right? We don't like theory-based courses. Right? We like courses or digital products where you actually can listen to the course or watch the course and then implement it. Here are the stages you need, and be able to ask questions along the way. So we learned all this through our own products, through ones we were using and ones we were selling, to make sure that we could deliver that. So why are we telling you about this? Because we want you to understand these are all considerations that you must use when you're creating your digital product. So even a book. So if you decide to upload an ebook and sell it on Amazon, that's great. But what's going to come out of that? Questions.
Yeah.
So a lot of people now have Facebook groups who write books, or they have small mini courses that come free with your book, right? Yeah. So that you have the ability to connect and say, you know, this was a really interesting, chapter, and I really enjoyed it, but I didn't have a question on it. And so now you're making a connection with your audience that will help them solve their problem and be able to, the ability to be able to communicate with them on an ongoing basis. That's huge. It's absolutely.
Well, one thing I really liked when you did I think it was through on the course creation right. through On Point for people who went through that course. I don't know, I'm losing my voice today. Yeah. One thing I really liked about that was that you did multiple lives, you did multiple hot seats, you did multiple, Q&As, so that people could ask questions and, show maybe their sales page and get some feedback on that. So there was that constant interaction. It wasn't just a click, they bought and you went, see ya. Have a nice life. Exactly. Good luck.
And that's what you have to think about. So exactly, Stacy, they took the course. The course was there. I gave implementation steps. But then not only did I answer questions on the live, but we reviewed your sales message. We reviewed your copywriting. So whoever decided to jump on those hot seats, we changed the look of what they were delivering, right? And what was great was people on the live gave feedback. Right.
Well, that was the best part. I loved that. I loved seeing everybody else engage as well, which I think was, again, really important for the person in that hot seat to gain the information from people who are looking at it from outside their industry. Because you said earlier, sometimes we get lost on our own verbiage and we get lost on our own copy, that we understand the value, but we don't necessarily have the ability to convey it to somebody who's the first time coming in. So that was really cool as well, as they were able to go, oh, well, I see this and I wouldn't necessarily read any further because I thought your course was about blank, and it was actually the opposite.
Exactly.
So it was really fun to see that part as well.
So you have to keep all these things in mind as you're going through creating digital products. And I know some of you have gone through the course, right? It's the course that we did at On Point. Some of you have gone through other people's courses. The key is really understanding that, as we said, number one, I'm going through the same thing over and over again to get you guys to understand. Number one is your idea. 2 is to make sure it works. 3 is to do the product and then understand who you're selling to get that sales message up. Getting feedback to change it up, making sure that the message is correct, and then actually starting to promote it, whether you're doing it on social media, Facebook ads, etc. Then after you sell it, you actually have to continue with and engaging with your audience, making sure they understand, giving them feedback so that you can offer them other pieces. So if somebody's in your course and all these questions are coming up that they're the same question that are not in your course, what does that tell you? It gives you an opportunity to create the next leg of your course, right? Yeah. So those are keys that you have to keep in mind so that you can continue along and constantly offer them more and more. Because for most of us, if we find somebody we like and we like their information, then we'd rather stick with them, right? We'd rather stay with them and buy multiple courses because we understand and know and like and trust them, rather than trying to find people all over the place that can fulfill one piece of information. Because here's the thing, if you did course creation with me, if you do course creation with somebody else, it's completely different, right?
Yeah.
The theories, the information is there, but the setup, how their framework works is different. And so you need to find the person that you can relate to so that you can continue to move forward on these products. But what people, they make the mistake, for example, coaches that are not even thinking about digital products. Again, you're just selling time for money.
Yeah.
Where you could framework your whole expertise and sell it to digital courses and do what Stacy said on top of the hour, right? Which is sit around and watch Netflix and make money while you're doing it. Okay?
Now, obviously that was, a little bit of a joke, but however, waking up in the morning and seeing that you've made a sale is awesome. Like just going to say right now, like there are funds on the way to you. And it's like, well, that's great. So again, if you've got those, I think probably the biggest thing that I think even you asked me way back in the beginning was, what are the things that people ask you for the most? Yeah. And can you then turn that into a course that you can sell? Well, and when you get that question, instead of selling your time, you can constantly send them over there that answers their problem.
Yeah. And I think you need to really understand that what you're good at, and let's monetize that. And let's create something, even if it's like a little mini course, even if it's a little masterclass, something that you can continue to sell over time and start where say to yourself, okay, we have a lot of interest here, rather than ignore it, which is what most people do. Rather than ignore it, let's do something about it, and let's put together something that it could truly help people, which is what everybody wants to do, but also it can create an income for you, which is what everyone needs to live, right? Everyone needs to make money.
Exactly. And with every online course, of course, there is the strategy behind it, and then there's the production of it. So it does combine a lot of planning and making sure that, you have everything you need to go, and then, you're sort of ready to put that into production. Yeah. And, just want to kind of, again, public service announcement, want to make sure that you test everything before you put it out there, because, I've had the situation where people have called me going, I literally just said, go, like just put it out there and said, okay, it's ready, it's for sale. And boom, that first person that clicks in either has a problem with the cart, they have a problem accessing the course. And unfortunately that feedback then trickles through, and it does impact your launch and it does impact your sales. So have somebody that doesn't know the process that you've gone through, doesn't have, already access to your internal systems, have them go through it. Even if you give them their money back, have them go through it so that all the glitches are worked out throughout the whole process, so that when you put it out there to go, bye, I'm ready, and it's an easy process for them to go through.
Yeah, there's so much involved, but it's not if you do this step by step, right? If you do it one step at a time, because the challenge comes from not knowing the path. Right. And so if you can put down your path, and just like anything, whatever you want to do, if you want to create a social media account on Instagram, the steps. You can Google it, how to start on Instagram. What does it tell you? Number 1, create an account, click this button. Number 2, add your picture. Number 3. So it takes you through the steps. So if you learn to just be comfortable with just following the steps, you'll be able to get there. The challenge becomes, or the conflict is, when you think that is way too much and it's too overwhelming and you stop, right? So you need step by step in everything you do. And now you got to relate it to, as you create it, you have to think about your audience as well. So how do you give them the step by step in order for them to be able to conquer their problem, to find a solution, so that it was worth them, purchasing your product or spending time with you, whatever.
And I think the best advice I think that you gave earlier, which is something that I've just done recently when I was trying to figure out how to lay something out, was to ask somebody, ask a potential client, ask somebody who's already a client, ask them sort of, because you just want to make sure that everything's just laid out in a way that makes sense for them, not necessarily how it makes sense to you, because you're the expert and you know the information, the material so well. So it was an interesting conversation that I had. I thought that I would do it this way because that made sense to me. And then when I asked the question, it was the opposite. Right. And I went, oh, that's really interesting. I didn't think that you would think that way.
Right.
So it was a great conversation.
And it's true. I mean, every time you do something, people think, everyone thinks differently depending on are they visual learner? Do they do audio? Do they like to read? What is it to get their information? And so when you figure that out, you have to understand that it needs to be laid out. You might not be a visual learner, but you're creating a visual platform.
Right.
That's challenging. You have to have advice on that, right? You have to have advice, because if that's not how you learn, you're not really understanding what it is that other people are looking for. Do we have any questions on course creation, on digital creation, on specifics on, what kind of digital that you're looking at that you're not sure? I mean, right now, video is it, right? That's what everyone wants. They want video if they're doing a course. If they're listening to a podcast, obviously it's audio. But if you're doing a course, it's generally video. Very rarely are courses now Audible downloads. Are not usually audio. They were in the past.
Yeah.
Reading courses are great digital products. A course that's strictly downloads, not so much anymore. Just reading downloads. That's old school. Still, I know a lot of people are going to go, no, but I like to read. Yes, you do, but package it up in a book rather than in downloads, right?
Or have the download as part of the course. So like workbooks and stuff like that, I always enjoy.
Like for some people, they like transcripts. Some people don't. Again, transcripts years ago were big, right? Yeah. Now, not so much. Why? Because a lot of us put the words right onto the video.
Right. And so they can read it and still learn at the same time. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can deliver material in a video sort of visual way. We could do this. We do Talking Head every Monday. We typically don't have slides attached to this. We don't show you visuals of what that looks like in regards to that structure. So this is what I would consider Talking Head training, which is like you're in a virtual classroom and you're watching the teacher talk.
Right.
Then you have sort of that voiceover slides, which means you're watching a presentation, a keynote or PowerPoint. You're watching the presentation and you're listening to the instructor talk.
That's That's my favorite. I prefer narration. That's generally what I teach people. There's a nice little combination where if, let's say you had 5 modules, and if you did a nice little talking head intro that talked about it a little bit for like 30 seconds or a minute, but then you went to slides. Why do I like slides better? Because people can go quickly at their own pace and read the slides or listen. But if you're talking head and you talk really slow, you've lost. I don't want to listen to you. So I'm going to not even, like, there's a lot. Don't you find if you say you're looking up a topic on YouTube and they're just all talking heads mainly, right? And so, which is great. But if you're looking at a topic and I find one, I'm like, oh, this will be the answer. And the guy or the girl takes more than 3 seconds to get to the interesting part, I'm done. I can't.
I'm going to the next one. But I also, because I'm a visual learner, I like to see information.
Yeah.
So I like to see what you're referencing because that will make more sense in my brain.
Right.
But I do like the concept of the introduction talking head, because then at least you can see the person that's behind the narration.
Exactly.
Which is kind of cool.
So if you're doing in-depth courses, that's the way to go. If you're doing a master class, you can go either way. But again, you need to know if you're engaging enough on video. If you're not, like if you're scared or using a teleprompter, then don't do just talking head. Yeah. Because that's the worst thing you could do. I would rather you do a narrated slides, because if you're not comfortable just being on camera, at least your information is good and you're excited. But if you're on video and you're doing it because you think you should, it's not going to go over well.
Yeah. Okay, well, hopefully the technical issues that we were having will be gone and people can watch the replay of this. So I apologize for the people that were trying to tune in live. This one did not, Facebook was just having lots of issues. So we did not have a lot of success with the live on today, but that's okay. That's what replays are for.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So we talked a lot. So if you guys want to see process in action, just so you know, Stacy's like, what's she talking about? But so we've talked a lot about today. I've mentioned a program that we're starting, and it's called Global Impact Accelerator, and it's GIA for short. And so if you go to joingia.com, you will see the first step of a course, which is a splash page or a teaser page or a landing page, however you want to call it. And it is just for people to pre-sign up to get the information that we're sending out. So when you get there, all you'll see is, do you want to make global impact? And then what happens is you're on the list. So when you get on the list, you would be the first person that we would email, one of the first people that will get the first leg of what we're doing for this program. What always comes first in a program is your opt-in. So we'll give you something that is really amazing, that adds value, that for free, so that you can see what we're doing, and then it'll move through our email sequence through the process. You'll see us do some lives and workshops. But if you follow us and follow our social media on this same topic, you'll be able to see and take notes of what we're doing for our digital products, so that you can absolutely copy us, copy the steps we do, copy some of the stuff we put on our sales page, because you think that's a great thing to do in these certain spots, because that's how you learn, right?
Absolutely.
Don't be shy. And if you see something and say, hey, why did you put this on your sales page? Come back here and ask us.
That's the point.
Yeah. Okay. So hopefully we'll see you guys all sign up soon. And as we go, what we'll try to do is share along the journey. We'll try to share the key points, and so that you can actually learn from them.
So tomorrow we have Tech Tuesday. So we're going to introduce just a couple of tools that will help you create a digital product.
Yeah.
And then Friday, feel free to ask all your questions.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So
happy Monday.